New York City, often known as the city that never sleeps, is a vibrant metropolis and a global hub for culture, finance, art, and entertainment. Situated along the eastern coast of the United States, NYC is made up of 5 boroughs: Manhattan, Brooklyn, Queens, the Bronx, and Staten Island, each with its own unique character and attractions. Manhattan is the most iconic, home to world-famous landmarks such as Times Square, Central Park, the Empire State Building, and Wall Street. The skyline is defined by towering skyscrapers, historic brownstones, and bustling streets filled with yellow taxis. New York City is a melting pot of cultures, with residents and visitors from all over the world. This diversity is reflected in its culinary scene, offering everything from street food like hot dogs and bagels to fine dining from renowned chefs. Neighborhoods like Chinatown, Little Italy, and Harlem each offer unique cultural and culinary experiences. NYC is also a cultural powerhouse, with the theater district in Midtown housing Broadway, where some of the world's most famous musicals and plays are performed. Art lovers can visit prestigious institutions like the Metropolitan Museum of Art, the Museum of Modern Art, and the Guggenheim Museum. The city moves at a relentless pace, with millions of people commuting by foot, subway, or bike each day. Yet, amidst the hustle and bustle, pockets of green space like Central Park and the High Line provide a serene escape. Known for its iconic skyline, nightlife, and endless entertainment options, New York City leaves an indelible impression on everyone who visits, combining the historic with the cutting-edge and the cosmopolitan with the quintessentially American. New York City, a place of dreams, towering skyscrapers, and unparalleled cultural richness, stands as one of the most iconic and influential cities globally. Known as the city that never sleeps, it's a hub of activity, creativity, and ambition, where more than 8 million residents from around the world contribute to its bustling, vibrant character. Each of NYC's 5 boroughs, Manhattan, Brooklyn, Queens, the Bronx, and Staten Island, offers its own unique culture and history, woven together to form an unmatched urban tapestry. New York City's skyline is instantly recognizable, with landmarks like the Empire State Building, the One World Trade Center, and the Statue of Liberty symbolizing the city's enduring spirit and rich history. Times Square, glowing with neon lights and filled with visitors day and night, captures the city's electric energy, while Central Park serves as a peaceful green oasis amid the urban landscape. The Brooklyn Bridge connects the boroughs of Manhattan and Brooklyn, offering sweeping views of the skyline and East River. The Statue of Liberty, a symbol of freedom and hope, welcomes newcomers to this land of opportunity, just as it has for over a century. NYC is often described as a melting pot, with over 800 languages spoken across the city. Neighborhoods like Chinatown, Little Italy, and Harlem each represent unique cultural traditions, making the city a true global mosaic. From the sounds of jazz clubs in Harlem to the bustling markets in Flushing, Queens, New York City offers an immersive cultural experience. This diversity also shines in the city's festivals, parades, and celebrations, such as the Puerto Rican Day Parade, the West Indian Day Carnival, and the Chinese New Year Festival. New York City is home to some of the world's most prestigious cultural institutions. The Metropolitan Museum of Art, MoMA, and the American Museum of Natural History showcase everything from ancient artifacts to modern masterpieces. Broadway, located in the heart of Manhattan, is world famous for its theaters, presenting Tony Award-winning shows and launching countless acting careers. Beyond Broadway, the arts scene extends into smaller theaters, galleries, and music venues across Brooklyn, the Bronx, and Queens, supporting a community of local artists and performers. Known as the financial capital of the world, NYC houses Wall Street, the New York Stock Exchange, and the Federal Reserve Bank. The financial district in Lower Manhattan serves as the headquarters for many major financial institutions and firms, influencing the global economy. The city's economic power attracts a global workforce and encourages innovation across various sectors, including technology, fashion, and media. New York City's culinary scene is as diverse as its residents. From food trucks offering global street food to upscale dining experiences with world-renowned chefs, NYC caters to every palate and budget. Pizza is practically a religion here, with thin crust slices available on almost every corner, while bagels and delis are iconic to NYC food culture. Neighborhoods like Jackson Heights in Queens offer Indian, Nepalese, and Latin American cuisine, while Koreatown in Manhattan is famous for its Korean BBQ and late-night eateries. NYC is known for its resilience and adaptability. The city has faced challenges ranging from natural disasters like Hurricane Sandy to 11th September attacks, and each time, it has emerged stronger. This resilience is reflected in the people, who embody the city's relentless energy and unbreakable spirit. With an ever-evolving skyline, continuously innovative culture, and unstoppable spirit, New York City remains a global beacon of opportunity and excitement, where dreams are born, and anything seems possible. New York City is more than just a destination, it's a global capital, a cultural heaven, and a city that invites people to make their dreams a reality. For both locals and visitors, NYC offers an unparalleled experience, with each borough and neighborhood contributing to a complex, colorful tapestry. As NYC continues to evolve, it remains true to its motto, ever upward. Whether you are a first-time visitor or a lifelong resident, the city's energy and charm are inescapable, defining NYC as a city like no other. New York City is situated in the northeastern United States, in southeastern New York State, approximately halfway between Washington, D.C. and Boston. Its location at the mouth of the Hudson River, which feeds into a naturally sheltered harbor and then into the Atlantic Ocean, has helped the city grow in significance as a trading port. Most of the city is built on the three islands of Long Island, Manhattan, and Staten Island. During the Wisconsin glaciation, 75,000 to 11,000 years ago, the New York City area was situated at the edge of a large ice sheet. The erosive forward movement of the ice and its subsequent retreat contributed to the separation of what is now Long Island and Staten Island. That action left bedrock at a relatively shallow depth, providing a solid foundation for most of Manhattan's skyscrapers. The Hudson River flows through the Hudson Valley into New York Bay. Between New York City and Troy, New York, the river is an estuary. The Hudson River separates the city from New Jersey. The East River, a tidal strait, flows from Long Island Sound and separates the Bronx and Manhattan from Long Island. The Harlem River, another tidal strait between the East and Hudson Rivers, separates most of Manhattan from the Bronx. The Bronx River, which flows through the Bronx and Westchester County, is the only entirely freshwater river in the city. The city's land has been altered substantially by human intervention, with considerable land reclamation along the waterfronts since Dutch colonial times. Reclamation is most prominent in Lower Manhattan, with developments such as Battery Park City in the 1970s and 1980s. Some of the natural relief in topography has been evened out, especially in Manhattan. The city's total area is 468.484 square miles, 1,213.37 kilometers, 302.643 sq mi. 783.84 kilometers of the city is land, and 165.841 sq mi. 429.53 kilometers of it is water. The highest point in the city is Todd Hill on Staten Island, which, at 409.8 feet 124.9 m above sea level, is the highest point on the eastern seaboard south of Manny. The summit of the ridge is mostly covered in woodlands as part of the Staten Island Greenbelt. Tourism is a vital industry for New York City, and NYC Tourism Conventions represents the city's official Bureau of Tourism. New York has witnessed a growing combined volume of international and domestic tourists, with as many as 66.6 million visitors to the city per year, including as many as 13.5 million visitors from outside the United States, with the highest numbers from the United Kingdom, Canada, Brazil, and China. Multiple sources have called New York the most photographed city in the world. I Love New York is both a logo and a song that are the basis of an advertising campaign and have been used since 1977 to promote tourism in New York City, and later to promote New York State as well. The trademark logo is owned by New York State Empire State Development. Many districts and monuments in New York City are major landmarks, including 3 of the world's 10 most visited tourist attractions in 2023. A record 66.6 million tourists visited New York City in 2019, bringing in $47.4 billion in tourism revenue. Visitor numbers dropped by two-thirds in 2020 during the pandemic, rebounding to 63.3 million in 2023. Major landmarks in New York City include the Metropolitan Museum of Art, the Statue of Liberty, the Empire State Building, and Central Park. Times Square is the brightly illuminated hub of the Broadway theater district and a major center of the world's entertainment industry, attracting 50 million visitors annually to one of the world's busiest pedestrian intersections. According to the Broadway League, shows on Broadway sold approximately $1.54 billion worth of tickets in both the 2022, 2023, and the 2023, 2024 seasons. Both seasons featured theater attendance of approximately 12.3 million each. In 1664, New York was named in honor of the Duke of York, later King James II of England. James's elder brother, King Charles II, appointed the Duke as proprietor of the former territory of New Netherland, including the city of New Amsterdam, when the Kingdom of England seized it from Dutch control. New York City is a global hub of business and commerce, sometimes called the capital of the world. Greater New York is the world's largest metropolitan economy, with a gross metropolitan product estimated at $2.16 trillion in 2022. New York is a center for worldwide banking and finance, healthcare and life sciences, medical technology and research, retailing, world trade, transportation, tourism, real estate, new media, traditional media, advertising, legal services, accountancy, insurance, and the arts in the United States. While Silicon Alley, metonymous for New York's broad-spectrum high-technology sphere, continues to expand. The Port of New York and New Jersey is a major economic engine, benefiting post-Panamax from the expansion of the Panama Canal. Many Fortune 500 corporations are headquartered in New York City, as are a large number of multinational corporations. New York City has been ranked first among cities across the globe in attracting capital, business, and tourists. New York City's role as the top global center for the advertising industry is metonymously reflected as Madison Avenue. The city's fashion industry provides approximately 180,000 employees with $11 billion in annual wages. Significant other economic sectors include universities and non-profit institutions. Manufacturing declined over the 20th century but still accounts for significant employment. The city's apparel and garment industry, historically centered on the garment district in Manhattan, peaked in 1950 when more than 323,000 workers were employed in the industry in New York. In 2015, fewer than 23,000 New York City residents were employed in the industry, although revival efforts were underway, and the American fashion industry continues to be metonymized as 7th Avenue. In 2017, the city had 205,592 employed firms, of which 22.0% were owned by women, 31.3% were minority-owned, and 2.7% were owned by veterans. In 2022, the gross domestic product of New York City was $1.053 trillion, of which $781 billion, 74%, was produced by Manhattan. Like other large cities, New York City has a degree of income disparity, as indicated by its Gini coefficient of 0.55 as of 2022. In November 2023, the city had total employment of over 4.75 million, of which more than a quarter were in education and health services. Manhattan, which accounted for more than half of the city's jobs, had an average weekly wage of $2,590 in the second quarter of 2023, ranking fourth highest among the nation's 360 largest counties. New York City is one of the relatively few American cities levying an income tax about 3% on its residents. Despite this tax levy, New York City in 2024 was home by a significant margin to the highest number of billionaires of any city in the world, with a total of 110. New York City's most important economic sector lies in its role as the headquarters for the U.S. financial industry, metonymously known as Wall Street. Lower Manhattan is home to the New York Stock Exchange at 11 Wall Street and the Nasdaq at 165 Broadway, representing the world's largest and second largest stock exchanges, respectively, when measured both by overall average daily trading volume and by total market capitalization of their listed companies in 2013. In fiscal year 2013-14, Wall Street's securities industry generated 19% of New York State's tax revenue. New York City remains the largest global center for trading in public equity and debt capital markets, driven in part by the size and financial development of the U.S. economy. New York also leads in hedge fund management, private equity, and the monetary volume of mergers and acquisitions. Several investment banks and investment managers headquartered in Manhattan are important participants in other global financial centers. New York is the principal commercial banking center of the United States. Manhattan contained over 500 million square feet, 46.5 million m of office space in 2018, making New York City the largest office market in the world, while Midtown Manhattan, with 400 million square feet, 37.2 million m in 2018, is the largest central business district in the world. New York is a top-tier global technology hub. Silicon Alley, once a metonym for the sphere encompassing the metropolitan region's high-technology industries, is no longer a relevant moniker as the city's tech environment has expanded dramatically both in location and in scope since at least 2003. When tech business appeared in more places in Manhattan and in other boroughs, and not much silicon was involved. New York City's current tech sphere encompasses the array of applications involving universal applications of artificial intelligence, broadband internet, new media, financial technology and cryptocurrency, biotechnology, game design, and other fields within information technology that are supported by its entrepreneurship ecosystem and venture capital investments. Technology-driven startup companies and entrepreneurial employment are growing in New York City and the region. The technology sector has been claiming a greater share of New York City's economy since 2010. Tech NYC, founded in 2016, is a non-profit organization which represents New York City's technology industry with government, civic institutions, in business, and in the media, and whose primary goals are to further augment New York's substantial tech talent base and to advocate for policies that will nurture tech companies to grow in the city. New York City's AI sector raised $483.6 million in venture capital investment in 2022. In 2023, New York unveiled the first comprehensive initiative to create both a framework of rules and a chatbot to regulate the use of AI within the sphere of city government. The biotechnology sector is growing in New York City, based on the city's strength in academic scientific research and public and commercial financial support. On 19 December 2011, Mayor Michael R. Bloomberg announced his choice of Cornell University and Technion Israel Institute of Technology to build a $2 billion graduate school of applied sciences called Cornell Tech on Roosevelt Island with the goal of transforming New York City into the world's premier technology capital. New York City real estate is a safe haven for global investors. The total value of all New York City property was assessed at $1.479 trillion for the 2017 fiscal year, an increase of 6.1% from the previous year. Of the total market value, single-family homes accounted for $765 billion, 51.7%, condominiums, co-ops, and apartment buildings totaled $351 billion, 23.7%, and commercial properties were valued at $317 billion, 21.4%. Fifth Avenue in Midtown Manhattan commands the highest retail rents in the world, at $2,000 per square foot, $22,000 million in 2023. New York City has one of the highest costs of living in the world, which is exacerbated by the city's housing shortage. In 2023, one-bedroom apartments in Manhattan rented at a median monthly price of $4,443. The median house price citywide is over $1 million as of 2023. With 33,000 units available in 2023 among the city's 2.3 million rentable apartments, the vacancy rate was 1.4%, the lowest level since 1968 and a rate that is indicative of a shortage of available units, especially among those with rents below a monthly rental of $1,650, where less than 1% of units were available. Perennially high demand from younger adults has pushed median monthly one-bedroom apartment rents in New York City over $4,000 and two-bedroom rents over $5,000, by a significant margin the highest in the US. A permanent European presence near New York Harbor was established in 1624, making New York the 12th oldest continuously occupied European established settlement in the continental United States, with the founding of a Dutch fur trading settlement on Governor's Island. In 1625, construction was started on a citadel and Fort Amsterdam, later called New Amsterdam, on present-day Manhattan Island. The colony of New Amsterdam extended from the southern tip of Manhattan to modern-day Wall Street, where a 12-foot 3.7 m wooden stockade was built in 1653 to protect against Native American and English raids. In 1626, the Dutch colonial director-general Peter Minuit, as charged by the Dutch West India Company, purchased the island of Manhattan from the Canarsie, a small Lenape band, for the value of 60 guilders, about $900, in 2018. A frequently told but disproved legend claims that Manhattan was purchased for $24 worth of glass beads. Following the purchase, New Amsterdam grew slowly. To attract settlers, the Dutch instituted the patru system in 1628, whereby wealthy Dutchmen patroons, or patrons who brought 50 colonists to New Netherland would be awarded land, local political autonomy, and rights to participate in the lucrative fur trade. This program had little success. Since 1621, the Dutch West India Company had operated as a monopoly in New Netherland on authority granted by the Dutch States General. In 1639-1640, in an effort to bolster economic growth, the Dutch West India Company relinquished its monopoly over the fur trade, leading to growth in the production and trade of food, timber, tobacco, and slaves, particularly with the Dutch West Indies. In 1647, Peter Stuyvesant began his tenure as the last Director General of New Netherland. During his tenure, the population of New Netherland grew from 2,000 to 8,000. Stuyvesant has been credited with improving law and order, however, he earned a reputation as a despotic leader. He instituted regulations on liquor sales, attempted to assert control over the Dutch Reformed Church, and blocked other religious groups from establishing houses of worship. In 1664, unable to summon any significant resistance, Stuyvesant surrendered New Amsterdam to English troops, led by Colonel Richard Nichols, without bloodshed. The terms of the surrender permitted Dutch residents to remain in the colony and allowed for religious freedom. In 1667, during negotiations leading to the Treaty of Breda after the Second Anglo-Dutch War, the victorious Dutch decided to keep the nascent plantation colony of what is now Suriname, which they had gained from the English, and in return the English kept New Amsterdam. The settlement was promptly renamed New York after the Duke of York, the future King James II and VII. The Duke gave part of the colony to proprietors George Carteret and John Berkeley. On 24 August 1673, during the Third Anglo-Dutch War, Anthony Colve of the Dutch Navy seized New York at the behest of Cornelis Evertsen the Youngest and rechristened it New Orange after William III, the Prince of Orange. The Dutch soon returned the island to England under the Treaty of Westminster of November 1674. Several intertribal wars among the Native Americans and epidemics brought on by contact with the Europeans caused sizable population losses for the Lenape between 1660 and 1670. By 1700, the Lenape population had diminished to 200. New York experienced several yellow fever epidemics in the 18th century, losing 10% of its population in 1702 alone. In the early 18th century, New York grew in importance as a trading port while as a part of the colony of New York. It became a center of slavery, with 42% of households enslaving Africans by 1730. Most were domestic slaves, others were hired out as labor. Slavery became integrally tied to New York's economy through the labor of slaves throughout the port, and the banking and shipping industries trading with the American South. During construction in Foley Square in the 1990 as the African burying ground was discovered, the cemetery included 10,000 to 20,000 graves of colonial-era Africans, some enslaved and some free. The 1735 trial and acquittal in Manhattan of John Peter Zenger, who had been accused of seditious libel after criticizing colonial governor William Cosby, helped to establish freedom of the press in North America. In 1754, Columbia University was founded. The Stamp Act Congress met in New York in October 1765, as the Sons of Liberty organization emerged in the city and skirmished over the next 10 years with British troops stationed there. The Battle of Long Island, the largest battle of the American Revolutionary War, was fought in August 1776 within modern-day Brooklyn. A British rout of the Continental Army at the Battle of Fort Washington in November 1776 eliminated the last American stronghold in Manhattan, causing George Washington and his forces to retreat across the Hudson River to New Jersey, pursued by British forces. After the battle, in which the Americans were defeated, the British made the city their military and political base of operations in North America. The city was a haven for loyalist refugees and escaped slaves who joined the British lines for freedom promised by the Crown, with as many as 10,000 escaped slaves crowded into the city during the British occupation, the largest such community on the continent. When the British forces evacuated New York at the close of the war in 1783, they transported thousands of freedmen for resettlement in Nova Scotia, England, and the Caribbean. The attempt at a peaceful solution to the war took place at the Conference House on Staten Island between American delegates, including Benjamin Franklin, and British General Lord Howe on 11 September 1776. Shortly after the British occupation began, the Great Fire of New York destroyed nearly 500 buildings, about a quarter of the structures in the city, including Trinity Church. According to 2022 estimates from the American Community Survey, the largest self-reported ancestries in New York City were Dominican 8.7%, Chinese 7.5%, Puerto Rican 6.9%, Italian 5.5%, Mexican 4.4%, Irish 4.4%, Asian Indian 3.1%, German 2.9%, Jamaican 2.4%, Ecuadorian 2.3%, English 2.1%. Polish 1.9%, Russian 1.7%, Arab 1.4%, Haitian 1.4%, Janise 1.3%, Filipino 1.1%, and Korean 1.1%. Based on data from 2018 to 2022, approximately 36.3% of the city's population is foreign-born compared to 13.7% nationwide, and 40% of all children are born to mothers who are immigrants. Throughout its history, New York has been a major port of entry for immigrants into the United States. No single country or region of origin dominates. Queens has the largest Asian American and Andean populations in the United States and is also the most ethnically and linguistically diverse urban area in the world. The metropolitan area has the largest Asian Indian population in the Western Hemisphere, the largest Russian American, Italian American, and African American populations, the largest Dominican American, Puerto Rican American, and South American, and second largest overall Hispanic population in the United States, numbering 4.8 million. Venezuela, Ecuador, Colombia, Guyana, Peru, and Brazil are the top source countries from South America for immigrants to the New York City region, the Dominican Republic, Jamaica, Haiti, and Trinidad and Tobago in the Caribbean, Nigeria, Egypt, Ghana, Tanzania, Kenya, and South Africa from Africa, and El Salvador, Honduras, and Guatemala in Central America. New York contains the highest total Asian population of any U.S. city proper. Asian Americans in New York City, according to the 2010 census, number more than 1.2 million, greater than the combined totals of San Francisco and Los Angeles. New York has the largest Chinese population of any city outside Asia. Manhattan's Chinatown is the highest concentration of Chinese people in the Western Hemisphere, and Queens is home to the largest Tibetan population outside Asia. Arab Americans number over 160,000 in New York City, with the highest concentration in Brooklyn. New York City has the highest Palestinian population in the United States. Central Asians, primarily Uzbek Americans, are a rapidly growing segment of the city's non-Hispanic white population. The metropolitan area is home to 20% of the nation's Indian Americans and at least 20 Little India enclaves, and 15% of all Korean Americans and 4 Koreatowns. New York City has the largest European and non-Hispanic white population of any American city, numbering 2.7 million in 2012. The European diaspora residing in the city is very diverse, and many European ethnic groups have formed enclaves. With 960,000 Jewish inhabitants as of 2023, New York City is home to the highest Jewish population of any city in the world, and its metropolitan area concentrated over 2 million Jews as of 2021, the second largest Jewish population worldwide after the Tel Aviv metropolitan area in Israel. In the borough of Brooklyn, an estimated 1 in 4 residents was Jewish as of 2018.